as this thing ignites. Wow! Paul Linn with an enormous drive. He's famous for it. Tell me something I can't do. And Linn's explosivity secures first blood here in Dubai, Jake Ward.
And he has. Paul Linn just came out, and we were talking about this in the pre-show about the speed. And Paul, shoulder commitment, turn, bang! Gets it in there, was able to just flash Lachlan and puts that wrist and the hand to the pad. That is round one, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Linn off to a great start.
What was evident there, Jake, was that we got exactly what was advertised. There was no running. There was no finesse. There was Route 1 arm wrestling. And the man who came out on top was that man, the White Oak of the United States of America. Over in the corner of Australia, you can see Ryan Bowen trying to give a few tips and suggestions. We saw Ryan change his stars a little bit in terms of that match. He got more purchase in the match by changing the style, changing the technique. We've seen that in the past from Paul Linn. Gut check time now for Adair. He needs to try to refocus, resettle, and look at what he needs to do to get a foothold in this match.
The best thing about Lachlan Adair is he does not back away from a challenge. So Lachlan will see this. He gave the nod of respect after round one. Paul gave him the look and said, "Did you see that, Lockie boy?" But now Lachlan will look. He still feels he has the sheer power. That's a man that is not too worried about being 1-0 down, and he knows what's happened there. So that's the best thing we love about Lachlan. He won't back down. As now Lachlan wants to go to the straps. I think Paul's got to talk to his cornerman and say, where do we go from here? Should we just go on the straps and I'll do the same thing again? Let's see what the call is. We're starting again in the straps. They now apply it. It's a matter, as you were saying, Neil, where does Lachlan readjust? Does he stick to his game plan round two, even though he was flash pin round one, or does he try somewhere different?
Well, we're going to learn that in a moment, Jake, because watch for the technical nuance. Watch for those subtle changes from the man from Australia. Can we see anything massively different there? And right now, the shake of the head indicates it all. Not a great deal. If anything, slightly further forward with the wrist positioning, trying to gain height on that lower palm. But it's a concerning situation, this, for Lachlan, because we spoke about it earlier in the pre-show. The speed is often a weapon. When all other elements are equal, it can be the deciding factor. And on a couple of occasions tonight, we may see evidence of that. We've seen evidence of that in the first round with the explosivity of Paul Linn. Now, if you're Lachlan Adair right now, there's a couple of things you need to do. And it revolves around denying access to that hit and making things awkward, making Paul make a technical mistake as he hits. And Lachlan right now hasn't made any of those amends. He's just thrown his frame further forward. Maybe he knows something that we don't. Maybe he mistimed that first hit. We're about to find out.
Yeah, let's see if we can get Paul's shoulders straight, because Paul is in a very good position for history to repeat itself. This is round two. Here we go. Ready. Bang! And the hits happen, but it's the White Hawk sorting it out, Neil. 2 in a row. Took the hand, took the pronation, and ends up being 2-0 up.
Let's talk about
play because you've got a game plan, you want to stick to it, and you don't want to feel that the other man's changed you. But I think I'm on Team Neil with this one. Lachlan does need to change. He does need to adjust because it's not like there's a sticking point and then he's getting pinned. What is happening now is Paul Linn is just putting in an incredible effort, and it's just going through him like a hot knife through butter. And, yeah, Lachlan now needs to change. And so where does he go then, Neil? That's what I'm going to ask you. Where does Lachlan go in round 3 to try and stop, try and slow down this power that Paul Linn's bringing?
Well, just before we get into that, I just want to comment there on an absolutely beautiful moment that we just saw with Lincoln, Paul Linn's little boy, in his corner there encouraging his dad. And that I found absolutely awesome. That's what it's all about.
There's a couple
right
of fathers
there.
In the booth.
What a
You got
great
two
moment
awesome
that
boys
is
yourself.
for Paul Linn going forward. Things are going his way. Now, to answer your question, Jake, at this point in time, I think that Lachlan needs to try to get something into the hand and wrist to make this a little bit more of a technical, nuanced match. At the moment, he's not doing that. He's had confidence in his arm and confidence that it can get the job done. It's not going to do. Not tonight. Not without significant changes. He needs to try and turn Paul Linn palm up and have him on the B side. He needs to have his own A side secured and get onto the front foot. At the moment, he's coming up slow, and it's putting him in a terrible position. It's very hard to fight back from there, particularly with your bicep damaged. And Paul Linn, look at him closing down the space. Look at him pushing Lachlan outside of his shoulder because he wants Lachlan to have to run through the arm. He wants Lachlan to have to go through his structure.
Yeah, this arm-on-arm action is superb. This is a proper sword fight going on.
Genuine momentum from Paul Linn. Look at the angle on the body. The right shoulder cocked down. The left high. He's going to pendulum attack and swing forward into that. Drive through the hand and wrist. Now Lachlan is committed with the frame, but it is not enough. And he's horribly exposed there. His palm is up. He's extended. He's not staying with his arm. And it's easy for us to say that here in the commentary position. It is difficult to make those amends if you're slightly slower up there. Very, very difficult. Watch again on the replay here, Jake. Look at the position. He's at the red line. When you're so extended and so close to that red line, there isn't the opportunity to amend or adjust. He has to make those amends in the setup. When the match begins, it's too late.
Yeah, Paul's taking everything straight off the go. And of course that hurts for me being Australian, but I've got to call it how I see it. Paul is taking everything that he can, and that hit is really wearing down the bicep, wearing down the hand. Lachlan is redlining straight off the go, and when you got someone as powerful as Paul Linn to try and redline and bring something back from 1 millimetre, 2 millimetres, an inch from the pad, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. All the respect to Lachlan Adair. That hasn't worked the first 3 rounds. So now you're in a position where it's all or nothing. You're in a position now, as we've said in the first couple of matches, where you need to find what is in here, in your heart. Where is the check coming from? Where the adjustments coming from? It's time to change, Lachlan, and it's time to change now.
Yeah, he's got to become the boxer, not the puncher now. He needs to get on his toes. He needs to try and create a situation where he's using a lot more pronata, gaining some height in this match. At the moment, the match is very much level, and if anything, it's Paul Linn that's forcing that index finger knuckle the higher. And that is a big problem for Lachlan. As I said a moment ago, it's problematic because he's a little short out of the gates, a little slower. Let's talk about the nuance of how we've ended up in this situation for a moment. Lachlan Adair, let's cut him some slack. He's lost weight for this match. Paul Linn has come up in weight. A better situation to be in. And look at the condition of Paul Linn. The weight that he's put on is not useless.
No, it's not sitting in his gut. It is sitting in the proper spots for arm wrestling as we get ready.
That's a better setup. Being reliant on... it's the speed here, Jake.
Yeah.
There's a marked difference in the hit, and the damage is done.
And that was the one thing we spoke about, as we mentioned before, in the pre-show. Can Lachlan handle the speed? Because we knew the power was
Here we go. Look at the drive there for Paul Linn. Big drive to the pad, enormous extension. And as we said at the start of the match, Lachlan Adair had no opportunity to amend or adjust because he was through the red line. Couldn't try any harder, but some days it is just not enough. Ray Lipins joins us now in the commentary position, and the effort going in, you can see on that action replay there, Lachlan Adair is stretched to the max.
They still going to pull 2 more matches. This is why we are back. Jake, come here, sit down. Finish what you started.
Here we go.
So it's up to the athletes to pull the 6 rounds. I went the early crow and went to do a post-match, but here we go, round 5. Has Lachlan got something?
I don't believe he has, mate. I think if he does, it's probably because Paul Linn has relaxed a little and he's happy in the comfort of the match. And he has. He's allowing Lachlan a little bit of bite there, and there's the attack. He didn't accelerate out the start there, Jake.
Yeah, like a thoroughbred out the gate. He is proper, and I think, yeah. So I think Lachlan wants to pull one more. But, yeah, a thoroughbred out the gate, just trans through it. It was unbelievable, and you can see there in the replay as they were toying around, and he's just got Lachlan outside of his shoulder there, turns, and Lachlan once again trying to hold on with that giant bicep. It's a strong bicep, but to maintain and in that defensive position against Paul Linn for 5 rounds, it's just not happening.
It's also a damaged bicep, Jake, and I think the damage was done in the very first hit. It's a ferocious attack we saw there from Paul Linn, and Lachlan, credit to the man, he said he'll throw his frame at it, and he did. He hung in there. The detriment of that, the gentleman's agreement these guys made, the savage agreement these guys made, is that they would start in straps and they would meet each other frame on frame. They did, and when you do that, you can get damaged. Tonight, Lachlan Adair did. The bicep was horribly extended. There was some damage in there. You're not going to recover that on the same night. And Paul Linn, from there, took over and has looked absolutely imperious.
Yeah, and you can't from the 4. I was probably with Lachlan. I would sit there and just say, I wouldn't be pulling these ones. I mean, Lachlan is a very proud man. He's a very strong man, and he'll never back down for a fight and wants to pull all 6 rounds. But I want to see more Lachlan Adair in the future, so I'm not a big fan of him pulling the last 2 rounds. But we're getting it here. Round 6, Paul Linn in dominant control. Can Lachlan salvage something from this match? Lachlan Adair on the left, Paul on the right. Ready, bang! And it's Paul Linn with a Linn-sane effort and a huge win over Lachlan Adair. Congratulations.